If you're looking for safe and reliable grinding services, hit up Cliff2_3 on Twitter. Hey, what's going on, y'all? RCA the Great here with another video for you guys. We got episode 3 of RCA's roster reviews. Now, as you know, season 3 is on the horizon, coming up on Friday, and we're going to be getting some new cards to grind for, some new content, and a whole batch of new cards to add to our team. So I wanted to do another roster reviews before that happened, to look at your teams now, what you're putting together, and what changes we can make going into season 3. Some things that you may be able to switch around, some things that you can keep the same as you go towards the unlimited reward, what to look forward to. So we're going to jump into that. Now, looking at my team, I've already done a video on my team for the qualifiers. If you want to see how I built my team and why, just go check out the Mind of RCA. Building my team for the 250K qualifiers. I already posted that a couple of days ago, and I'll leave the link in the description. Now, before we move any forward, I wanted to let you guys know that I am on the road to 13,000 subscribers. So please hit that sub and like button. But also, if you're interested in any kind of My Team talk, any kind of roster reviews outside of these YouTube videos, asking me any kind of questions, getting some exclusive defensive settings, anything in the My Team community that you need extra help with, I have created a Patreon for you guys to support me in a different way. I do spend a lot of time creating content, answering questions on Twitter, and doing different things to give back to the community. So I did create a Patreon as a way for those of you that do want to support me on that platform to come on over, join the Discord. We have live discussions. I post different settings. I post different auction house tips, all exclusive to people that are subscribed to the Patreon. So I'll also leave the link in the description, and I'll have something flashing on the screen while I'm talking about this. But without further ado, let's jump into episode 3 of RCA roster reviews. Let's go. All right, the first squad comes from my guy, Remington Alexander on Twitter. He's tried to get into the first couple episodes, so I wanted to make sure he got into this one. Now, keep in mind, we are moving into season 3, so a lot of my recommendations are going to come with knowing we are getting some cards coming soon. Remington says his team is at a standstill. He's hoping for a solid 2-guard to come next season. We do know we have Jason Richardson coming as the unlimited reward, and we are going to get some other cards dropping on Friday. So waiting for your 2-guard is not a bad idea. He said he studied a lot of the playbooks that we've covered, and he's looking for a playbook recommendation with this personnel that he has. And he has a screen grab of his bench, which we can scroll over to real quick, or his extra collections. And he does have Francis, Jason Kidd, Vucevic, Bingo Smith, ML Carr, Mike Conley, Covington, and Wang ZZ. So getting back to his starters, we got Ja Morant, Michael Bridges, or Michael Bridges, however you want to say it, Kevin Garnett, and James Wiseman. And then we have Gary Payton, Matisse Thybulle, Jonathan Isaac, Carmelo Anthony, DeAndre Ayton. Then you got DeAndre Jordan, Bobby Jones, and Chris Paul. So immediately I'm going to be getting Chris Paul out of there because he's not going to get much playing time at all unless you really like Chris Paul. But moving Matisse Thybulle up to your starting shooting guard position is going to help you out, obviously, until we get another shooting guard. You do have Bingo Smith or ML Carr that you can throw at your backup shooting guard position for now. But I'm going to sit on that for now. With 114K MT, you don't need to be spending any because you already have Gary Payton. It's not like you have to play for anything. So wait until Friday and then you'll be able to fill that out. Now, I did see Jason Kidd in your collection. Unless you're going for 75, the 75th collection reward, I would definitely be selling him and getting him out of there and getting some more MT because you already have Gary Payton. So there's literally no need to have that Jason Kidd just sitting there. Also, in my opinion, with the way your bench is set up with Jonathan Isaac not being the best shooter, although he is a good shooter, I would have Wang ZZ playing instead of Ayton. Not that Ayton is a bad player, but Wang ZZ gives you exactly what Ayton gives you pretty much on the defensive end, but his jump shot is just way smoother for this game. So it's going to enable you to score at an easier rate than Ayton is. Nothing wrong with Ayton at all. He is one of the best budget centers you can have. But I think Wang ZZ, with the way your bench is set up, with Thybulle, ML Carr, Gary Payton, more defensive style players, I think Wang ZZ playing as a better shooter is going to help your bench better. And having Carmelo Anthony at that power forward spot is okay as well. So that's what I would do with that squad at the moment. Sit on the MT. You can keep the rest of your players where they are. I wouldn't make many updates. You have a great team already moving into season 3, and just build your MT up moving forward. Now, your playbook, you do have James Wiseman and you do have shooting centers, and you have more of the slashing style point guards. You don't really have sharp shooting point guards, although they can shoot, they're not really sharpshooters. So Ja Morant, you want him going to the basket. One of my favorite players for going to the basket is, or playbooks for going to the basket is the Rockets playbook. Either that or the Pistons, because you're going to get a lot of on-ball screen actions. I've covered both of those, but they're going to work with this team because there's a lot of pick and roll, a lot of pick and fade, and a lot of chances to get Ja Morant inside the lane and then kicking out to your bigs that can all shoot. You also have great defenders out there with Mikal Bridges and Kevin Garnett with Hall of Fame interceptor, so you'll be in the passing lanes. Now, if you did want to pick up a shooting guard, Eddie Jones could be nice for your team because he is another player with Hall of Fame interceptor that you can throw out there. You'll have 3 players out there with Hall of Fame interceptor, and as you know from qualifiers, that is a very OP badge, and it can help you out a lot on the defensive end. But having over 100K MT going into Season 3 is not a bad thing. I would sit on that MT and keep your team how it is. Obviously, you're a winning, so keep it up. Appreciate you sending the team in. Let's move on to team number 2. All right, y'all, team number 2. Sorry I don't have the webcam on, but I just don't want to block the team because everything is on the screen at the moment. And I just want you guys to be able to see everything that's up here. Now, you guys have been sending in a lot of really good teams, so I'm trying to find the teams that actually do need some help. So my guy right here, Alex, said he doesn't know what to do. Booker might be going because of his defense. Instead of Ja, he has Francis in his offense at the moment. So he's not running Ja, he's running Francis. He's running the triangle offense and Princeton freelances with the Heat 2013 playbook. 50K MT to work with any players or playbook trying to finish showdown tier. So right off the bat, I see some players that I want to replace very, very quickly. So starters, we got Peyton, James Harden, Bruce Bowen, Carmelo Anthony, and Vucevic. Not bad at all. On the bench, we got Ja Morant, Devin Booker, Bobby Jones, Paul Millsap, Jokic, Marcus Smart, and Wang ZZ. Tyler Herro just as a filler. So right off the bat, Paul Millsap and Jokic gotta go. Jokic is too slow at this point of the game unless you're really going to be trying to abuse him in the post on the offensive end. But in the beginning, he was very good. Now he's starting to get to where he's too slow. So for like 5K MT, to be honest with you, you can get yourself James Wiseman, and he's going to help you out a ton. If you want more of a defensive center, you can get somebody like Josh Smith, but I would rather you get James Wiseman for now to help more with your offense and have somebody that can shoot at a better clip. For Paul Millsap, we're going to be replacing him with Jonathan Isaac, who's going to cost you like 3K or 4K MT around that, but I know he's under 5K MT. That's going to help your power forward position because Jonathan Isaac is honestly one of the best cards in the game, and he is literally a sapphire. So you're going to be able to get some MT for your Paul Millsap and Jokic, but get you 2 better players. Bobby Jones is not horrible, but I don't know if I would run him just because if he is sometimes a liability on the offensive end because he cannot shoot the ball very well. Now, your Marcus Smart, you guys know he is one of my favorite cards. You said you're running Steve Francis. If you wanted to, you honestly could run Marcus Smart at your shooting guard position. He is going to be able to lock up on the defensive end, and you won't have to really worry about Devin Booker out there. You can send Devin Booker to the bench if you would like to. If you want to pick up somebody else for your small forward position, there are many cards you can pick up for cheap that are under like 10K MT as well. And one of them is Matisse Thybulle. You can grab yourself a Matisse Thybulle for like 4K, 3K MT, and he's going to give you the defense that kind of Bobby Jones gives you, but he's going to be able to shoot from the outside. So that's going to help you at the small forward position. Your team's going to be on the smaller side off the bench, but you're going to be decent. If you want somebody taller than Matisse Thybulle, you can get somebody like Mikal Bridges or Robert Covington, and they're going to help you out as well. And then your bench is going to be very well rounded. At this time, I would not be replacing the James Harden or Bruce Bowen just because they are pretty cheap cards. James Harden was free and Bruce Bowen is rather cheap, and they're going to be able to get the job done in the showdown tier. James Harden is not as good as his diamond card, but he can still get the job done on the offensive and defensive end for what you need until we start season 3. Now, if you completely want to replace James Harden, you can. I would go pick up somebody like Eddie Jones, who's not as good on offense, controlling the ball as James Harden, but he's going to give you a better defensive presence out there with Hall of Fame interceptor. But that's completely up to you. Your team is fine once you really replace Bobby Jones, Paul Millsap, and Nikola Vucic. I would run, Nikola Jokic. I would run Marcus Smart at the shooting guard, pick up Thybulle for my small forward so that my defense is well-rounded, and then you're going to definitely go ahead and get that Jonathan Isaac, and now your team is looking better. And then you got James Wiseman as well, and you're spending less than like 12K MT, and you're going to be able to sell your Jokic, sell your Millsap, and your team is going to be fine. If you don't want to pick up a backup center, you can just run Wang ZZ. You don't even have to pick up James Wiseman. So that's my recommendation. And for Heat 2013 playbook, I think is completely fine. But you can switch your playbooks up to pretty much any that I've covered. And I would definitely recommend the Pistons for this team because you have good point guards and good wings out there that can create. So definitely check out the Pistons review that I did and see if you like any of those plays. All right, third team. This one is going to be quick. This comes from Tease. And he said this is how his team looks right now. And right off the back, his team looks completely fine moving into season 3. He only has 4,000 MT. So I want to make him some MT. And we're going to be right away getting rid of Jimmy Butler. And we're going to be replacing him with Matisse Thybulle. So let's pull up what that's going to look like on the screen for him and what kind of changes it's going to bring to his squad. So looking at Matisse Thybulle and Jimmy Butler, they're 2 inches in height difference. But when you're moving over to the stats, Matisse shoots at an 86 for 3. Jimmy shoots at an 81. They both have pretty similar drive and dunk. Ball handle is rather the same. Block, Matisse wins. Steal, Matisse wins. Perimeter defense, Matisse wins. Jimmy has a little bit better interior defense and is a way better rebounder. On the speed and strength side, Matisse is going to win there. And so he's going to also win in lateral quickness. When you get to the badges, Jimmy does have 4 Hall of Fames, but none of them matter that much to make a huge difference. So Matisse for 2,000 MT, while Jimmy Butler is costing you 32,000 MT, you just made 30K MT while you're moving into season 3. And you got a player that's going to be playing at the same level as your Jimmy Butler. So I would 100% be making that move to make yourself some MT. You could also do the same thing with a player like Nicholas Batum. If you really wanted to, you could actually sell your Nicholas Batum to make yourself some more MT as well and pick up somebody like Saddiq Bey, because Nicholas Batum is going for about 40 to 30K MT and Saddiq Bey is going for like 3,000 MT, and they do pretty much the same thing for what you're needing going into season 3. So if you make those 2 changes, you're going into season 3 with about 100K MT or maybe like 90K MT, 80K MT, and you're going to be able to buy some other players once they drop in price. So that's just my recommendation for this team. The rest of your players are fine, but I would definitely make those 2 moves. Your point guard and shooting guard position off your bench are kind of small, so you could also pick up somebody like Marcus Smart. Although he is only 6'3", his defense is going to be better than the Ja Morant. That'll enable you to run Ja Morant or Peyton when you want to as your 3rd point guard. So very little MT spent. You upgraded your team and you saved some MT. Let's move on to team number 4. All right, team number 4 comes from Fiji God. He said he completed Showdown tier with 80% win rate. Impressive. But he doesn't know if he can compete with next season with this squad. His budget is 1 million MT. Now looking at this squad, we got Francis, Drazen, Covington, Nicholas Batum, Diamond. First of all, why is he not evolved? You must be literally a god at this game. You don't even want to evolve or buy the evolved version of your player for the same exact price. They cost the same price. So just go ahead and get the evolved pink diamond version and stop flossing on us, my man Fiji. But he's got KG as center, Peyton at point guard, Eddie Jones, Brandon Ingram, Karolinko, and LaFrance. Not bad at all. Now you're winning 80% with this team. There's literally no reason to sell anyone, to do anything different. Honestly, you already completed Showdown tier. Moving into season 3, you're worried about being able to compete. So these are some things you're going to run into when the sweats start getting sweaty, because you know Unlimited is a little bit more sweaty at the beginning of the season. So your point guard and your shooting guard and your starting lineup are going to get ran around and run through. Not because you have bad defense, but because they're not the best defenders out there. So if you start Gary Payton instead of Steve Francis, that brings your defense a little bit better on the starting lineup. Enables Drazen to run around and shoot, do what he has to do, and he has other defenders with him. Then you're going to have Francis run with Eddie Jones, so Eddie Jones can defend, or Karolinko can help defend the ball off the bench. So I would make that change to start. Brandon Ingram is a nice player, but you can get some better bang for your buck. You have 1 million MT. You can switch him out if you truly desire. There's some small forwards out there that can give you some good minutes, but Brandon Ingram is not a bad player at all. Your backup center is one that I would definitely switch and get you somebody that will be able to compete more down low. You don't have to go out and spend a ton of MT, but get somebody that is a little bit more capable of defending down low, because you're honestly going to be able to get easily mashed running Rafe LaFrance. If somebody has somebody like Sabonis, if somebody even has somebody like Wilt, Rafe LaFrance is not going to really be able to stop them inside unless you put somebody like Karolinko on them, but then Rafe LaFrance can't guard anybody else on the court. I would also try to get yourself a bigger point guard or another defensive point guard out there, just in case Francis is getting abused. Somebody like a Marcus Smart, or going to grab Penny Hardaway, as he is like 40, 50K MT and you have $1 million. Getting yourself a bigger point guard, because we're going to start seeing bigger point guards as we move into season 3. Other than that, sit on your MT. You're already done with Showdown till you have no reason to improve your team. Keep your team how it is until you see what the meta's looking like, until you see what new cards drop, and then make your decisions. But some weak points I do see are your defense on your starting guards, so you got to switch that, and then your backup center does not have very good defense. Other than that, you're fine. You have good shooters, you have good wing defenders overall. You should be in a good position to win some more games. Alright, y'all, this team comes from Ben Sanity on Twitter, and he said he got super blessed pulling KD out of the packs on Friday and Clay, and then he needs a good playbook to run. He is looking at about 500K MT after grabbing some badges for his players. Now, looking at the squad, we can tell that it's obviously a very good team. So my recommendations are going to be MT based. I see a lot of heavy hitters out here. You have a lot of players that are worth a lot of MT. I think the best value player you have out there right now is the Diamond James Harden and Diamond Jaylen Brown, because what they bring to your team for their cost is very good. They're very cheap players at like 60, 70K, and they bring a lot of bang for your buck. So those are like the two best players in my opinion as far as MT saving. Klay Thompson's the best shooting guard in the game, so I'm not getting rid of him just yet. But between Paul George and Kevin Durant, and even Anthony Davis, one of these guys gotta go to save you some MT. And I'm thinking that's going to be Anthony Davis. The reason why I say that is because why the heck, slow down RCA, why would you grind for Kevin Durant, or I mean, not Kevin Durant, why would you grind for Kevin Garnett and not have him playing in the game? So make sure Kevin Garnett is playing somewhere. You spent a lot of time getting that card. Make sure he is in your lineup. Most likely, get Giannis out of there. Now, the reason why I say this is because this Giannis doesn't have all the shooting badges. He's going to be obsolete very soon, because the lock-in is Hakeem Olajuwon, which I do not think you're going to grab. If you do grab him, that'd be great for your team, but I don't think it's worth it. So I would get rid of Giannis and most likely Anthony Davis, or Giannis and Paul George. You don't have to have all of them right now, because the prices are going to go down. Yes, they are great cards. Yes, they really are. But save yourself some MT. Giannis is going for a pretty good amount still. You can get a lot for him. And then you can end up starting your Paul George at power forward or Paul George at small forward and move Carmelo Anthony to power forward. That brings Kevin Durant down to your small forward on the bench. It moves your guy KG down to your center or your power forward. And now you're saving yourself some MT. So get two of those guys out there. And I really do think Giannis and Anthony Davis should be gone. If you move Giannis out of there, you're going to move Paul George or Kevin Durant up. You can go get yourself somebody like Jonathan Isaac, which is going to give you literally the same exact thing that this Giannis is going to give you, to be honest, for way less MT. And now you saved yourself a lot of MT. You can even get somebody like the Paul George out of there just for now and go get yourself somebody cheaper like a Sadiq Bey. Now, Sadiq Bey is not the same as Paul George at all. Nowhere close to Jonathan Isaac and Giannis. But you're saving yourself MT because you also have Jaylen Brown out there who can give you some what Paul George is going to give you. Unless you're literally handling the ball and stuff with the Paul George, he's not going to be that much different than some of the cards you have out there. You have a lot of high value cards on your team. And I would just look to make some move to make sure you're getting the best value of your MT. Because as you can see how easily these prices can crash. And we're moving into season 3. We're going to start getting some really good cards as we get further in. And you don't want to be trapped with cards and losing value in your cards, if that makes sense. Now, as far as freelance and playbooks and stuff like that, this team can run pretty much everything. Right off the bat, looking at it, I do think that this is more of like the Trailblazers Pistons style team because of how your guards are set up. You've got Carmelo Anthony, Paul George, Kevin Durant that can run off screens if you need to. But the Nuggets playbook will actually be very good as well because KG and David Robinson are kind of like Jokic, where they can post up and shoot the ball and handle the ball. So if you like the Nuggets playbook that I posted a couple weeks ago, check that one out. It has a lot of actions for the screens and center to get open. So really look at that playbook, see if it worked for you. But I definitely recommend Nuggets, Pistons, or Trailblazers for this team. But get some of those heavy hitters out of there. Save yourself some MT. All right, we got another team. This comes from Whole Lotta Ron. He says he has 330K budget. We'll have Showdown finish tomorrow, which was a couple of days ago. Should he keep his team or should he sell for the new season? Now, I did this team because, again, it's a team that is pretty much complete. But the question is the reason why I did this team. Should you sell your team? A lot of people have this question. So the reason why I'm going to say you need to sell some players comes for specific reasons. When I choose to keep or sell a player, these are the reasons why. Are they one of the top players at their position? Like AK. AK is considered one of the top players at his position. And there's others like, Paul George, there's Melo, there's KD. But Karolinko can hold his own against every single one of those cards defensively, and he can score for you on the offensive end. You do not have to worry about him out on the court. He's always going to be solid, and he's like 55K MT. That is always a keep. You want to keep cards that give you value like that. Now look at David Robinson. His price was about 200 something K, I think, or 300K, depending on what badge you have on him. It's like debatable. Is he the best center in the game for the value? He's not really, although he may be the best center in the game, but his value is going to continue to decrease. Now, unless you are locking in for that 75th anniversary, that's completely different. If you're locking in for that, keep him. But if not, you're already done with Showdown tier. You want to get rid of him because he is way over 100K MT. So his price is going to eventually go down unless that lock-in is immaculate. His price is going to go down and you can grab somebody that's comparable to him on the offensive end. Now, that's just my opinion. Another one is the Dolph Shays. Over 100K MT. He's 6'8". There's other players that you'll be able to put there to give you the same kind of impact when you move into season 3. And you might be able to pick them up for cheaper because we're going to get way more cards that are coming out. Everybody else on your team is pretty solid. The Klay Thompson is by far one of the best shooting guards in the game. Like, there's literally only one other player you can say, all right, he's probably just as good as maybe like the T-Mac. James Harden is close, but he's under 100K, so it doesn't even count. So over 100K shooting guards, Klay Thompson is literally head and shoulders above the rest. So Klay Thompson needs to stay on your team, especially if you have extra badges on him. So I'm not going to be selling my Klay Thompson anytime soon, especially because he's glitched. He has great handles. Everybody else on your team is very good. They have good defense, good offense, and they don't cost very much. But David Robinson and Dolph Shays for their price outweighs everybody else, and you're already done with Showdown tier. So I'll be looking to get rid of those guys. Not saying that they're not good, but can you recoup some of your MT by selling them and buying back later, or buying somebody comparable to get you through the season 3 until you're ready to get somebody new? Hopefully that makes sense. That's the way I kind of evaluate if I want to keep a card or not. Do I have extra badges on them? What makes them special? Can they do anything different to where they're worth 250, 300K MT? If that's a no, if I don't really just like them that much, I'm going to sell them. Now, if we look at my team, like I showed you guys a little bit earlier, I do have players like Klay Thompson, Sean Marion, Sabonis that do cost over 100K MT, but they have extra Hall of Fame badges on them. I've been using them for a while, so I'm going to keep my team to use for season 3 until I have a reason to upgrade them. I have 600K MT to work with, so I'm not really looking to switch. I made sure I have extra Hall of Fame badges on my cards to make it justifiable to keep those cards. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's get into one more team, then we're going to end the episode. All right, y'all, the last squad comes from my man Blessed, and he says, how can I maximize my squad? What is my next move? Now look at the squad. We have some really nice cards out here. Not mad at you at all, but I will say there's one glaring thing in my face right now that is just, it's killing me. Nate Thurman and Giannis playing at the same time. Now your team defensively is legit. You're most likely not gonna get scored on very often. Even if that's your strategy, it's probably going to work out for the better because your team defensively is looking strong. I'm not gonna lie. But when you come down on the offensive end, unless you're literally a sniper with Nate Thurman, you're going to get off-balled to death. Because they're going to be off-balling Nate Thurman and off-balling Giannis, because Giannis this is not the Giannis that has the shooting badges, so they know he's not going to be able to shoot very well. What you need to do is either you move Giannis to power forward and bring KG up to center, or move Nate Thurman to center and bring Dolph Shays up to power forward so that you have another shooter out there. That's the main thing you need to do with this team right now, unless you are a full defensive minded person and you're just trying to lock up everything and you know how to get that done and you can run fast break all day. this is a hard offensive lineup to run because Penny Hardaway is also trying to get inside. So if he's trying to get into the lane, but Nate Thurman and Giannis are there, he can't get into the lane. It's clogged. And if they're standing on the corners, I'm playing gap. I'm going to make you shoot with Giannis and Nate Thurman all game. You're going to have to show me you can hit with them every play, and we're going to make sure Penny Hardaway is not going to be able to score like that inside. That's how I'm going to defend your team. And one fix to that is all you got to do is bring Kevin Garnett, put him at center or power forward to play with Thurman or Giannis, and now you have a better shooter out there. Or even bring Steve Francis into play as your point guard, and that even helps you up a little bit. But you just got to make that switch, and then overall your team is fine. Now, if you want to save MT, we can also go that route, just like I told the last guy. You want to get this Giannis out of there, get somebody else, because he is still going for a high price tag. The same thing with Dolph Schayes. If you go ahead and get yourself a Jonathan Isaac to run instead of that Giannis, you're going to be fine putting him at power forward and having Nate Thurman play your center. And then instead of Dolph Schayes, you can pretty much throw a lot of power forwards in there. Like the Robert Covington is going to be fine for now. He's not as good as Dolph Schayes as far as a shooter, but defense, doing everything as just a set shooter standing and putting some shots up, he's going to be fine as far as the MT difference, because Covington's going for like, what, 12K MT, and Schayes is still over 100K. So that big of a difference is not going to come in the gameplay, to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. Now, on the rebounding end, Schayes is going to give you a little bit more. And if you're running more of the really heavy pick and pop style offense with him at the center position. But at power forward, Covington's going to give you a lot that Dolph Schayes is going to give you. So if you're going to have to sell that Dolph Schayes and get yourself somebody like Nicholas Batum for 30K, you just made yourself like 60K MT and kept your team still very competitive. So those are the tips I would give you, man. Definitely fix up that starting lineup to where it just makes more sense in a competitive standpoint. The team is not bad at all. You just got to make some quick changes that's going to enable this team to be able to work better, like a well-oiled machine. You're not going to just come down the court and have so many possessions where you're just stuck. And those are the possessions that make you lose games. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that episode. We're going to get out of here and get ready to do another one once the next season starts. See what teams you guys can send in. Until next time, I'm going to catch you in the next one. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to check out my Patreon. Catch you in the next one, man. Peace.